that is time for us to start the show. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first virtual Student Concerns Forum. I am Elizabeth Urban, your Student Government President. I will be your host today, along with Scott Turnbow, our Intern Director of Marketing. I would like to go over a few ground rules before I introduce our panel. You may ask your questions in the Q&A section and direct them to all panelists during the event. Try to stay muted at all times unless I have called on you. And please make sure at this time that your device is charged or plugged in. For questions, remember we are not using the chat or the raise your hand features. We are using the Q&A feature. If you are a panelist, please state your name and title before answering the question. Thank you for following these guidelines. I would like to acknowledge our college administration panel now. Dr. Warren Nichols, the college president. Dr. Clinton Burton, Vice President of Fiscal Affairs. Dr. Jerry Flagger, Vice President for Instructions. Dr. Vicki Stanfield, Vice President for Student Services. Ronald Levick, Chief Information Officer. Christine Abrazier, Staff Attorney.
How do you do?
Dr. Lisa Watson, Executive Director of Calm Foundation and Resource Development. Also present are Dr. Chris Kimbart, Dean of Students, Dr. Carla Boone, Dean of Workforce and Continuing Education, Dr. Stephen Sewell, Dean of Academic Programs, Dr. Sarah David, Director of Institutional Equity. I am sorry on that one. All right. If you just joined, please put your device on mute. We will be using the Q&A feature to answer your questions and not the chat or raise your hand feature. We're going to start off with a few questions that was submitted to the student government earlier. All right, so the first question for the panelists: what happens if the students are struggling with the switch to online due to the increased load on work or knowing that online classes do not help them?
This is Dr. Stanfield, Vicki Stanfield, Vice President for Student Services. The best response is for students to contact their academic advisor. All students should have an academic advisor assigned to them. If they do not know who their academic advisor is, they can go to Student Services on the website and drill down or put into the search for advising. That would be my best recommendation. Would someone like to jump in and add a little bit more? Michelle, do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree to reach out to your advisor. They can put you in connection with some online tutoring services available here at the college, as well as some support services and our counseling services as well. If you check your COM email, all students should have received a note from their academic advisor with some instructions on how to connect with them via Skype, as well as some of the instructional Q&As and tutoring hours and how to connect with NetTutor.
This is Jerry Flagger, Vice President for Instruction. If there are issues related specifically to the course, how you're progressing in it, or content with that, we just recently on the homepage of com.edu, we put panels for student support directly there. My first response would be to obviously contact your faculty member, let them know what's going on, and they can work with you. But in addition to that, we also offer tutoring services for almost all areas, and we would provide that support as well. We can put you in touch with one of our actual tutors who can engage you and through Blackboard Collaborate. We have online tutoring available. We also have our librarians available if you have issues with information. So please avail yourself of any and all of those solutions.
All right, thank you, panelists. Another question was also, is there a possibility of dropping the class that does not count against their drops, or maybe a money back due to this situation?
So this is Jerry Flagger, Vice President for Instruction. In concert working with the coordinating board, we have set up a system. If students contact their advisor and the reason that they have to drop the class is directly related to the situation, In other words, I wasn't in an online class. I'm now in an online class. It's not working out. I got called into work for extra hours, whatever it is. If it's directly related to the COVID situation, then we can withdraw, if you want to drop that class and there really are no other alternatives, then we can withdraw you from that class in a way that is an administrative withdrawal and it will not count towards the 6th drop.
All right, thank you so much. Next question is, one student has a hold on their account for a parking ticket even after that they paid the ticket. They are wanting to know, do they have to pay again to take it off, or what's the steps for it?
This is Vicki Stanfield, Vice President for Student Services. I think we've responded to the student that had an issue, and my response would be exactly what she did. She contacted my office at my email, vstanfield@com.edu, or Leanne Downton, 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 @com.edu. And I will work with the student regarding the parking citation, but the student does need to reach out to me to do that.
Thank you so much. Another question is there a way to temporarily waive prerequisites that they cannot test out of them or for the extra classes currently?
This is Jerry Flagger, Vice President for Instruction. I know this time right now is a time of uncertainty for a lot of folks, and so these questions are, please bring the questions, and you can ask your questions of us at any point. It doesn't have to be just during these forums. All degree requirements remain in place, and so the classes that we require as prerequisites are being offered, so there would be no reason from a curriculum standpoint to remove a prereq requirement. Just to reinforce, the reason for a prerequisite is that the information or the knowledge or the skills that are gained in that class are necessary and required and are built upon in the subsequent class. So if we waive that prerequisite, it would probably set the student up for failure in that next class. So classes are being offered, they are in the schedule, and we can still meet all degree requirements.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Does COM have information regarding, I do not know how to state this, but HESI entrance test during the COVID-19? They tried to search for testing online, however, they could not find one.
Yeah, so this is Jerry Flagger again. The HESI test related to nursing. That's all being, the Texas State Board of Nursing is involved with coordinating board, who weekly we have calls, 3 times a week actually we have calls with the colleges. So we're monitoring that. Any notifications for the HESI will come out through the traditional channels. Dr. Boone, is there anything you would like to add to that? I'll take that as a no.
I just wanted to add, if I could, this is Vicki Stanfield, Vice President for Student Services, that our testing director, Tomas Garcia, has informed us that they are working, as Dr. Flagger said, working with a remote proctor system, and they're going to be setting something up soon, we hope, and you should be getting more information about that hopefully within the next week or so. So you will need to begin again looking at our website for that information. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, so another question, how will students receive lab credit if they are unable to actually go to the labs?
So great question, Elizabeth. And let me dispel the myth. We're not offering any lab classes where there aren't labs associated with them. There are multiple ways that labs can be conducted. In the case of the spring semester, the science faculty met, they looked through the curriculum and made a determination that as far as the bare minimums, the student learning outcomes that had to be met for the course, that those had been met through the labs that had already been performed. So if you're currently in a science class and you're not having labs, the reason is the professors decided that yes, they could they satisfied the outcomes with the labs that were present. As we look to the summer, we're looking at ways to conduct the labs virtually or through different online, through different modalities and tools for that. So the faculty are working with that. If we're unable to deliver the outcomes that are captured within labs, then we won't be scheduling that class. So every student who takes any class will get the full measure of instruction for that class.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so moving on. What if a student does not have access to a computer or laptop to complete classes, or if they share one computer in a full household?
So we are aware that there are students who do not have access to computers, and just to be clear, we're talking about students who do not have any access to computers. In that situation, we have already begun a loan program. We have loaned out several computers already through information technology. The best way to do that is to contact your faculty member, let them know, and they can refer you to IT. As well, we have a Random Acts of Kindness grant program through our foundation, and they're actively involved with that, and Dr. Watson can speak to that. We have, in addition, ordered additional computers from Dell, and we're expecting delivery of those to occur very soon. And as a matter of fact, Elizabeth, I'm glad this question came up, because one of the things that we've struggled with at COM is the fact that many of our students don't have access to computers. And so I found out this year that we have students who've signed up for online courses who are taking all of their classes in the COM labs, in the computers that are at campus. And so there's a need here. So beyond getting through this immediate conversion to online, we're actually going to set up a program for students who don't have access to computers to be able to check out computers going forward, even once we're back to fully face-to-face campus.
Oh, that's good, positive here. So another question, and this is actually from the Q&A from Gabriel Lopez. He's asking, is it possible that COM will adopt the pass or fail program like the U of H?
We have discussed that. That's a good question. I said Gabriel has a couple questions. So the questions related to grading, we have looked through, we've actually looked through the pass-fail option, and we've decided not to adopt it for several reasons. Number one, in conversations with the faculty are comfortable that they can go ahead and award grades based on the performance that students have in the class, both pre and post spring break. If we award pass-fails, there are a lot of implications. So for instance, for dual credit students, it affects their class standing because they no longer have a grade associated to go towards their class standing. It also can have implications for financial aid and students needing pass-fail. We're also running into conversations that we're having with our transfer partners about how they award a pass-fail as far as a transcript evaluation. So given the fact that our faculty are confident in their ability to grade and to be able to deliver on final grades for the semester, and the actual complications that are caused by going to a pass-fail, we thought it would serve our students better if we stayed with what we currently have. The other question that Gabriel asked is, wants to know, because we got COVID, can we just curve everything? Well, no, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for. A curve can work against you or it can work for you, but the grades are the purview of the individual faculty. And I've been in communication regularly with faculty. We've discussed their options for grading. If you do have concerns about grades, do talk to your faculty. And I would say that as a blanket statement. Don't make any decisions about anything until you talk to your faculty. They've been fantastic and just responded, I couldn't ask for better. So let us continue to support you.
All right, and another one from the chat is Amy Estes, I believe. I heard that microbiology is canceled for the summer, so I'm wondering, will chemistry be offered?
There will be chemistry classes offered, but there will be some chemistry classes that won't. And the reason they won't is the same reason microbiology was not offered. Remember the earlier question that came up about labs. It was determined by the faculty that there was not a way that we could deliver the learning outcomes of microbiology without labs. There are certain things that you simply are required to take, to know, to do, and there's no class after microbiology. So for instance, if you want to take biology 1, you might miss a few things through virtual labs, but then if you're going to sequence into biology 2, we can catch those up. But we can't do that with microbiology because it's the last in the chain. And then obviously, I think you need some federal licenses to have some of the chemicals at home that we require for our labs. So I believe the Gen Chem for non-majors is the one that will be offered, but do check the schedule. It's up online. It should reflect those changes.
All right, thank you. So getting back to the ones that we have emailed, a student has not received financial aid yet, and they haven't got a response back either. How does the shutdown affect financial aid to students?
Well, this is Dr. Stanfield, and I can answer that question. According to our financial aid, Sandra, I lost her name all of a sudden, Sandra Guzman, our financial aid director, all of the financial aid has been released for the spring semester. So if you haven't gotten your aid for spring, you should contact the financial aid office just so that they can look up your eligibility. And of course, staff are very responsive to email inquiries, and they're available there to help you. And just check the financial aid page for the contact information, and they will be in touch with you. As far as aid and the COVID pandemic, aid is not stopping. They're continuing to process applications, and our dates for our summer, I think is June 1st is priority. I guess that would be for falls, is June 1st. So more information is posted on the financial aid webpage.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So for the pharmacy technician program, is the fall semester being postponed due to the virus?
Yeah, again, great question. Sometimes I'm unsure where these questions are coming from, but no, the fall schedule is running full as planned. And so pharmacy tech will continue in the fall just as it's been scheduled. So go ahead and prepare and get ready to come back.
All right. UTMB nursing does not accept online science classes that have a lab portion online. Is the school able to work with them temporarily given the circumstances?
So there's two levels to that response. And the first is that when a transcript is evaluated, there is no notation on a class as to its modality. So both internally as well as externally, we do not have a way of knowing if your class was an internet class, if it was a hybrid class, or if it was fully face-to-face, and neither do any of our transfer partners. So there's nothing to demark it or denote it and say this was an online class. But secondly, referring to my earlier comment, we've been working closely with the Texas Board of Nursing, and they have stepped outside of normal operations during this time, as everybody else has, and they've given us some leeway, as well as our transfer partners, to be able to offer some of the nursing classes and the prerequisite classes in an online format, and students would still be able to count those for full credit towards their graduation, transfer, or anything else. So the students should have absolutely no worries, and if they do, they certainly can contact my office, and I'll walk through with them, and I'll contact UTMB myself if necessary.
Great reaching out. So next question. Students are wondering if the tuition prices will decrease due to all of it being online.
Well, oddly enough, actually it costs more to take an online class because there's an online fee that's associated with it to support it through the technology and the personnel and equipment that we need to do that. So no, tuition is not going to go down, but on the other side, during this time, for students who've been pushed into online classes who didn't choose them, we're also waiving the online fee. So all classes cost the same regardless of modality right now. So rather than tack on the extra support fee, College of the Mainland is supporting our students by waiving that fee at this time.
Awesome, thank you. I just want to also state that in the Q&A we had Julia in financial services. She did state that they did do a student refund file this morning to the student's bank mobile card. So if you guys were having questions about that, please check your bank mobile and then get with them. All right, so moving on. So some students heard that we will be going back to school on May 4th. Will we be returning or finishing the semesters online?
Well, there's a lot. I'm not sure exactly what the question is on that. We're keeping our regular schedule, and we've already committed that we will finish this semester online. And so if you are in a spring class that's online, or the spring class that converted to online, it will be online. We do have some classes, particularly in our workforce area, that have some skills that they have to demonstrate, whether it's the Law Enforcement Academy, P-Tech, cosmetology. And so we are working with the faculty to have a period of time where we can bring the students in practicing all the safety protocols we had in place post-spring break. To wrap those up, hopefully in the month of May. That's all predicated on the stay-at-home order being expiring and being lifted. And so once that we're able to access campus and we can provide a safe environment for our students from the spring, who have to finish up those skills, then we'll do that. But students who are operating in online classes right now will continue online through the end of the semester. And as well, just to continue, we've already made the commitment that we will extend that online delivery system through the summer. We do look to be back on campus in the fall. We're still examining what that looks like and how we'll manage that with the new norms that we've got in place. But no, we will be, students will not be required to return back on campus this semester if they're in a fully online class.
Awesome, thank you. So, next question is, what is happening with the graduation spring 2020? Is it being moved, postponed, or just canceled in total?
I'm going to see if Chris might like to answer this question. Chris Kimbark, right at this moment, we have said that we're not having a graduation on the date as we had planned, that it's postponed, but I'm not aware of any conversations at this point as to when that might be. My team may be talking behind the scenes, but Chris, do you have anything you would want to add to that? Dr. Kimbark? Not sure if she's on the panel, but at this point, and Jerry, if you have any other information, jump in there as well. At this point, it is postponed and we don't have a date. So that's really about as much information as I have at this point. We hope to, we really do. We know how important it is. It's very important to all of us.
This is Jerry Flagger. Given what we know right now about what the future might look like for this summer, we're not sure. We have postponed graduation while we look at all the options. It's an important ceremony. We don't know that we'll be able to offer it as we have in the past. We wanted to make sure we do something to recognize the achievements of our students. We will be having a regularly scheduled convocation in December, and so it might get pushed back to that. We're looking at all options, but we do want to recognize the achievements of our students.
Awesome, thank you. And to add on to graduation, will the students still be able to receive their diploma as normal, or will that also be in effect?
That's a very good question. And I think it's going to be dependent upon their ability to print those graduation certificates. And so I think that would be something that we will work toward. Right now, we're not having access to the campus. And of course, we're not having graduation at this moment, but people would be processed for graduation, and it would make sense to me that they are graduated once they have completed all of their requirements. And we have said that unless Jerry, is there something else you know as far as confirming that these graduates have met all of the requirements that we do in our ceremony? I'm not sure that that's more ceremonial than it is administrative, but.
This is Chris. Can you hear me?
Yes, please jump in.
Okay, no, the ceremony is simply a ceremony. So any student who has met all of the requirements for graduation will be graduated. It will be reflected on your transcript, and you will receive a hard copy diploma when we're able to be on campus and get those mailed out. But graduation has nothing to do with the graduation ceremony has nothing to do with your actual graduation from the college.
Thank you so much. So another question from the Q&A is from Isaiah. He was asking, what do we do about purchasing books and or checking them back in at the bookstore?
Fantastic question, Isaiah. Once we can get back to campus, the bookstore has assured us that they will open up for operations. If you currently have, whether it's a book for the bookstore or it's for the library or anything else, do not worry about that. Any fees, any fines, late fees or anything like that, we're waiving all of those because obviously this is a situation beyond everybody's control. So once the campus is accessible again, my understanding is the bookstore will have operations available for students to return books as well as purchase theirs for the summer.
And Jerry, if I could add on to that, or Dr. Flagger, the bookstore is open. It is staffed. There's limited entrance, but they do have curbside service, and they're processing orders online. So if you need information or materials from the bookstore, that is available. The way it's delivered will be a little bit different, but you can work with them and get the materials you need to be successful.
All right. So another one from Q&A is from Larry. Will COM students be refunded for facilities that they paid for but cannot use, such as the gym, the library, computer labs, etc.?
This is Dr. Stanfield with Student Services. Students do have a myriad of services available to them in this online environment that we're in. And given that we are holding ourselves accountable to the proclamations by both our state and our federal government, we are working on behalf of the students to provide services as possible. So at this time, services will not be refunded, any fees will not be refunded, because as Dr. Flieger mentioned just a moment ago, it is more expensive to provide services online and to be in a virtual environment. We're taking care of all of those various types of tutorial the tutorial services and various things like that online. And so we're not going to be refunding any fees.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Stanfield. And this is Jerry. We are working to make sure that we provide all support. This interruption occurred halfway through the semester. We're at this point about 3 weeks left in the academic year, in the semester. Tutoring services are still available. Face-to-face tutoring service is now done through Blackboard Collaborate. As far as the access to the computer lab, as I mentioned earlier, if you haven't heard, do contact your faculty member. We're setting up a loan program for laptops so students have access for that. We also have all librarians are available. Library services are available. The only thing you can't do is sit in a wonderful lobby and have a Keurig. But other than that, all library services are still being maintained.
All right, thank you so much. So the next question is a little bit lengthy, so bear with me. Some students in the nursing department is working with a higher expectation while maintaining the rule that the first exam it averages out must be 75%, then the rest is averaged in with that. They are having a hard time discussing with their professor. Is there anything the administration can do to help with those regulations?
Well, I'm not sure the regulations themselves, if they are from the nursing board, if they're from our accrediting body, the nursing accrediting body, or if it's a departmental or faculty. So I'll be happy to follow up with that. Grading decisions are made by the faculty. You don't want your administrators getting involved in student grades. Whether you think that works for you or against you, it's just a bad practice. And so I know that faculty are doing everything they can during this time to work with students and be as flexible as possible. We do have to make sure that we maintain the rigor and the integrity of a program. And so especially with something as important as nursing, we want to make sure that our students have that fundamental knowledge so that they can serve their patients. But I'll be happy to pursue that one further.
All right, I will make sure I get that message over to you as well, Dr. Flieger.
I would appreciate that, Elizabeth.
All right. So next one is, a student is having a hard time keeping up and spoke to their teacher. However, the teacher's response is to try and stick it out. What steps should the student go if the teacher is not responding?
I suppose that falls in instruction, so I'll take that one. One of the things I hope that our students know is that College of the Mainland is really here to support them in their goals. And so that the faculty members certainly should be the first line of support for that. Sometimes those conversations don't always go the way that you would like them to go. And there could be a myriad of reasons why that occurs. Every faculty member also reports to a department chair or a program director. It's very okay for students to contact those individuals and say, hey, look, I'm having some difficulty. I talked with my faculty member, I talked with the professor, and I couldn't get anywhere. Absolutely, they can do that. And then there's a dean above that, and then there's me. So it's very, very okay for a student to go up through the ladder, if you will, and until they get somebody who gives them a hearing. No, just toughing it out, that's maybe the first sentence, but then there should be more behind that with how we do that and in what areas we're struggling. So I don't know, because this one didn't show up in the Q&A. So whoever you are, please know that we are here for you. There are ways that we can help you and support you. Make sure you take advantage of the tutoring services that are available. But if it goes beyond that, we got multiple ways we can work with you. So if I'm sorry you had that experience with the faculty member. Please talk with the department chair or the program director, or Dr. Sewell or Dr. Boone, depending on which area it's in, or myself.
All right, thank you so much. So another question that I just received from the email, it says, if a student cannot get an academic transcript from a previous school due to the shutdown, will they still be able to receive financial aid with our college?
I'm going to give that question to Dr. Kimbark, and she can help you with that one. Chris?
Hear me? Can you hear me?
There?
Yes. I'm sorry, repeat the question.
So they went to a different college before this, and if they cannot receive their academic transcript from that previous school, and they are a new student with us, will they still be able to receive financial aid with us?
We will. The only transcripts we're not able to receive right now are the ones that are coming from out of state. So if you can encourage the student, if you're a student that's coming into the college, I would encourage you to get your transcript sent electronically. But if you would like to send me an email, Sandra Guzman, who is our director of Student Financial Services, was not able to be here today, and she can certainly respond to that question for you. But we are receiving transcripts on a daily basis. It's just hard transcripts or ones that are sent through what we call snail mail that we're not receiving at this point.
Right, thank you so much. I did make a note for that as well to ensure that you guys receive that.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Q&A, we have one from Alexandra. She stated that I had to drop 2 courses due to COVID-19. I cannot afford to pay these 2 classes again. I don't get financial aid. I pay out of pocket. How can COM help me by getting back into those courses next semester with no charge?
This is Jerry Flagger. Meet with an advisor. And so any student who's got a situation right now where they're struggling and they have to drop, or they think they might have to drop, please contact your advisor. We are processing all of those on a individual basis right now. A lot of times students, and I know this isn't directly to the question, but sometimes students feel that they have to drop because of the status in the class, and it's an inaccurate perception. They're actually doing better than they think they're doing. So it's always good to talk with an advisor or your faculty member. But in this particular case, Alexandra, please reach out to your advisor and have a conversation with him or her to get more information.
All right. And then Philip stated, will students be able to meet with the advisors this summer for fall classes, or will they still have to do Zoom or something else?
Jerry said earlier, this is Vicki Stanfield. As Jerry said earlier, Dr. Flagger said earlier, we are remaining in our virtual world at this point until further notice. And we do have the advisors who are very engaged with their students. And so I think it's working well with Zoom and other communications. If anybody else wants to jump in, I see Alicia there. I don't know whether she can speak, or is she a panelist?
We're still meeting with our students. We are meeting with them through Skype and through Zoom and through Teams. So we're trying different modalities, whichever one works best for the student. To answer the specific question, absolutely. You will still be able to meet with your academic advisor. It just will not be on campus, but we will certainly be able to meet your needs virtually.
Elizabeth, can I add just a little bit to that? This is Jerry Flagger. It's important for students to know that College of the Mainland right now is operating according to the laws set out by Judge Mark Henry and really Governor Abbott as well. And for the safety of our students, for our faculty, for our staff, we are not coming to campus, which is exactly what the governor and the judge has ordered. We are very, very interested in getting back on campus. We're very interested to see people. I know I am. And we will be operating on the campus as soon as that's possible. And I just want to say that as a covering statement for all of this. We're in a situation right now that was of no one's choosing, and there were limited options available for us. We are attempting to go forward in the way that best serves our students. We felt that while this isn't ideal, it's better than canceling the semester and just calling it a scratch. And so we're doing all we can to get through this time. And then as soon as we get the word that we can go back, we'll start transitioning back to the calm that folks knew. I appreciate your patience, and I know that this is both an anxious time and a frustrating time for a lot of folks. And so please, again, don't let your questions stop during these forums. If you've got anything at all out there, it's a great time to ask us.
Thank you so much. So we did ask this earlier, but I am still receiving a lot of these questions of it. Nay, I believe that's how you state your name, mentioned it, and I also received an email from David just now asking about if they can't continue their classes because their grades are dropping and they're having a hard time keeping up. What are the steps again? I know we did discuss this earlier, but they probably just hopped on.
Yeah, no, if you're struggling in your classes and you've talked with your faculty and you feel that you've got no recourse but to drop out of them, contact your advisor. I can't stress that enough. Talk with your faculty. If your decision is made, then meet with your advisor. We've got programs that have various requirements, and that'll be handled on a program by program, case by case basis. It's our goal to make sure that nobody is penalized or suffers any more than necessary, and we already are really because of the situation. And so if you've got any concerns or doubts that are related to COM at large, contact your advisor. If it's about a specific program, then contact the director of the program or the faculty mentor that you work with. And I know we're getting a lot of questions from nursing, and those are very specific to that program and that population. And so I would ask that folks talk with their nursing faculty, Dr. Ordonez, Dr. Boone, and talk with them, and we'll proceed with those questions.
And I'd like to just add that the steps to dropping a class, we have, and Dr. Flagger is absolutely right. Your advisor is your first step. And that advisor will walk you through that process in order to help you make the right decision and help you with any resources that you may need and what you have to do. So if you should all have an advisor, I would think there would, if you don't, then we need to know about that.
And then Nay did add in the comments or questions that their question was specifically about nursing who requires program reapplication when courses are dropped. Would they have to, I guess, reapply?
Right, and that's a question I can't answer. I don't have the specific knowledge about that. But we can get with the nursing faculty and the director of nursing and find that out. Which is another reason why, and again, I can't stress it, your advisor is your friend. Get with your advisor. A lot of times dropping a class seems like a simple answer, but it has ramifications beyond that. It can impact your financial aid, class standing, progress, and all of that. And so please, before you make any decisions, contact the advisor, talk it through with them. But these questions related, I've made a note, the ones related specifically to nursing, and we'll follow up with them.
Thank you so much. Another question is that some students, they are used to being involved on campus with events and different things like that. Is there things that we're going to have set up for them to still be involved while home?
Let me ask Taj Cornelius, if Taj, you can unmute your microphone and give us an update on what you have planned as far as engagement. We know that's a really important part about being in college and being successful.
Absolutely. Currently, our Minority Men for Excellence men are meeting weekly, actually 3 times a week via Zoom with Greg Benefield, the advisor over that active group. Santiago Guerrero is still hosting the John Maxwell Leadership Series of engagement. You should see on the Student Life calendar for Monday, we're coming out with some additional engagement, virtual engagement opportunities for the students to participate in. And we're going to collaborate with a lot of other areas that are doing good things within there, so that it's just not student life driving it, but the other areas that are doing good things on the college campus. So look for the student life calendar to be available for Monday and through the rest of this period of time of virtual reality. So yes, that calendar is coming soon.
Thank you so much. Another question was, and I believe this is more targeted to either Taj or Kari, how can the club still be connected and possibly continue on to find students for next year? Do you guys have any ideas for them, or is it one of those things to work with them?
That's a good question. We continuously have our brainstorming sessions almost daily within the student life team, but to pulling in the student staff such as yourself that work for student life, we all need to get our creative thinking caps on and see how we're going to push forward in this period of time of offering something like that. Let's get connected through these platforms that we're using for students to join in that need that. We are seeing that students just need that connection, that face-to-face smile on the other end of the camera, the webcam, and being able to chat and saying, hey, I am safe, I am doing X, Y, or Z. So again, we do have our creative hats on, and we will be offering some opportunities just to join student life in that kind of realm, so that more recruiting can go on of offering, saying, hey, maybe we go through that of I'm highlighting this club or this activity, and here is my invite to you. So yes, we'll be doing more of that.
Thank you so much, Taj. All right, that is actually all the end of the questions I've received on email and Q&A. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. I'm going to give a few more minutes just to see if anybody else want to do last minute questions. If you guys would like to continue a conversation, you guys are able to.
Elizabeth,
Yes, ma'am.
was that a student, or I don't want to interrupt a student. Was that a student?
On.
I thought I heard someone. There was a question that came through the advisors. Most of the questions have been answered with your Q&As that you have already asked us about today, but I do want to mention about payments. How do we make payments? There was a question, or there have been some questions about how do I take care of any fee balances that I might have for spring 20 or prior semesters. And the financial services, the business office is operating virtually. And just to give you an idea, the students with tuition or fee balances or any other prior semesters, they can pay via their web advisor through their account summary. They also have the option to email Andrea Philippe, the bursar, and I'm going to post her. It's afillip@com.edu, and provide the ID and their phone number, and then Andrea can call them back, and she can take a credit card or a debit card payment over the phone. And for registration begins April 14th, and students that are interested in a payments plan, we do have that payment plan available, and that information is also on their website, but they will have to register themselves and then set up their payment plan, and they can get more information from Andrea on that. But those are some options for paying for your tuition. You can pay it in full. You can contact Andrea Philippe again, and with your phone number and your ID, and she can take that credit card or debit card payment over the phone. So those are some options. Those are really good. We'll post that on our Q&A as well. That's the only other question I have.
All right, and then in the Q&A, we actually had Gabriel join back with us saying, what will a dean or administrative do if faculty isn't complying? Only options advisors have given him or her, are tutoring or to retake the class. Tutoring only goes so far.
Great question, Gabriel. And Elizabeth, you're doing a fantastic job, by the way. I appreciate it. Well, corporal punishment is not allowable. And so we aren't allowed to, we're not allowed to do anything in that way. You know, there are things that are different right now, and there are things that remain the same. And so this is one of those questions that really nothing has changed. At any time, this semester or any other semester, where you're having difficulty with a faculty member and you're not satisfied with the support they're giving, as I said before, it is very okay to go to their department chair or their program director and have a conversation about that faculty member. All I ever ask is that the students first go to the professor and give them a chance to work things out. But sometimes that doesn't happen to everyone's satisfaction. And so if there's a situation where you don't believe you're being served by a faculty member, and I'm sorry, very sorry to hear that. Our faculty are just doing an excellent job, but please reach out to the department chair. And if that doesn't bring satisfaction, go to the dean and then to myself, the vice president, jfliger@com.edu. A lot has changed, Gabriel. And our faculty had less than 3 days really to transition their classes once we were given the notice we were shutting down to a completely online format. And it's been difficult. And as you might imagine, there are folks that were teaching online already. And so all this meant was taking additional classes online. And then there are faculty who've never taught online. And we're all kind of going through this together. It's not the ideal situation. So I do apologize for the students who are struggling. Amy, I want to thank you for your comment, but really I just want to say thanks to the students. You all have been fantastic. You've worked with us. You've been as flexible as well as you can while we try to work things out. But there are roughly 5,000 students attending our campus, and I don't get to hear from all of them, and sometimes things slip through the cracks. So please don't hesitate to ask questions outside of this forum. Many times we may not know what's going on if we don't hear. So thank you, Elizabeth, and thanks to the students who participated in this.
Could I add one thing to that, Dr. Flagger?
Absolutely.
If somebody's like working a lot of hours right now and is falling behind in their coursework, we can work with them on granting a short-term incomplete grade so people can get their work done if they're working a considerable hours right now.
Right, and that's where you go to your faculty and work with the faculty. The incomplete grade is a determination by your faculty member. We don't have a blanket policy about that, and so work through the faculty, the department chair, the dean, the vice president until it gets taken care of.
Thank you so much. So Ever emailed me stating, has any of the courses changed for the P-Tech program? Will they still be able to do it in the classes in the summer?
So I've received teaching plans for the summer for all programs, and our plan for P-Tech and a lot of our skills course, a lot of our CTE courses is much the same as it was when we came back from spring break, Elizabeth. We're going to start the summer fully online. We're going to adapt as we're allowed to adapt. And so there are P-Tech classes that can be completed entirely online, and there's some where they have to be at the glycol separation unit. They have to have some hands-on. Where that happens, we'll deal with the circumstances as they unveil themselves. So for instance, one possible option is we get to May and the order is lifted and we're allowed to go back to campus. Well, we might still start the semester for those students in an online format where we bring them onto campus on a very limited basis, only as necessary to fill out those skills. We might start the summer and get to June or July before they end up saying that we can come back to campus. So every student will get everything required for them to be successful in their course, hopefully within the term of the semester, but if we have to extend it, we will. Through an incomplete, by the way, just to be clear, we're not extending the semester.
Right. All right, thank you so much. Then Larry in the Q&A asked, is there a way to ease a workload for the faculty members on COM? Because they are sure it's tough on them too.
It is tough on them, Larry, and our faculty are extremely committed and they've been putting in a lot of effort. I've talked to several of them during this time, and there are faculty who are, wow, they're going all out, and I'm extremely proud of them. The COM faculty during this time have been released to fully focus on teaching their classes. They're not being asked to participate in committees. I've taken all initiatives off the table. The administrative work, the office hours on campus, that's all suspended. And so the primary function right now of the faculty is solely focused on getting them through this semester. So I have attempted to release them. I've attempted to lighten their workload and take everything off their plate that I possibly can.
And if I could add, I am not Larry.
Thank you, Dr. Burton, too. So-
The joke is Dr. Burton serves sometimes as an adjunct.
So, a question for myself on this is that we did discuss that we could have the students drop the course, which it would not reflect as a, actual drop. How long would that be for? Like,
When you say how long would it be for, what do you mean?
so is there going to be a cutoff date of like, you would have to ask, I'm so sorry, my dog is going crazy, but is there only so long for, per se, we have until May, and then if you're still in the class, we can't drop, or are we doing it all the way until the end of the semester?
We do have, there is a withdrawal, and I'll let Dr. Stanfield speak to that. There is a withdrawal deadline that's put in place, not by us, but by state reporting. We will extend it as long as we're allowed to, yes.
Yes, and we do adhere to our drop dates that are in our academic calendar. So we are adhering to those dates. But up until that point, certainly you need to talk to your advisor. And as Dr. Flagler said, talk to your professor and get as much help as you can.
Thank you so much. And then Crystal is asking, and this is again a nursing student, is there any accommodations regarding their classes? I know, Dr. Flagler, you're going to be working with them a bit more, but if you can ask or answer as much as you can for Crystal.
Yeah, I'll get with the nursing faculty and have them come up with some FAQs for their program as we're getting. We've made every accommodation that we can possibly make. I don't know what else we can do. We've worked with our roughly, we've allocated over $25,000 to nursing program to give them virtual clinics, to give them the online testing that they need, to really support them through this time any way we can to make sure that they don't lose track in their program. It is a limited admission program, and so I know it's competitive, and I know there's tight timelines. Right now, students can't get into clinics because the hospitals are saying, please don't come out here. They won't even let us go out there. And so the healthcare field is probably impacted most by everything that's going on. So we're making every accommodation that's possible. I'm not sure what specific accommodation they're asking for. It's still a program that has to be completed. There are learning requirements, but we are committed to being as flexible as we can during this time. But I will work with Dr. Ordonez and we'll get an FAQ out to the students.
Thank you so much. And that is the end of all the questions I have received. Is there any last comments that anyone would like to state before we close this out?
Elizabeth, hi, this is Vicki Stanfield. I would like to say that we are just grateful that our students are hanging in there with us during this time, because every day, as we all know, the landscape changes, and as much as it's difficult on the students, we are faced with our own challenges to keep this operation running. And I have to say that from every level of our employees, from student services, instruction, fiscal affairs, IT, the business office, the president's office, the administration, the attorney, everyone, we are working on the behalf of our students. And I have to say that as Dr. Flagler said, getting that online up and running in 3 days, we have just done miracles. And our student services, oh my goodness, to get those advisors up and sending all those texts and all of the ways in which we're communicating with students. We want our students to return. We want them to be successful, and that's what we're here for. And our phone numbers are in our directory. It's very easy to find any of the people that have been on this panel today. Please reach out to us. Our doors are always open. Many of us are answering our phones and looking at emails at 10 o'clock at night. So now tomorrow is a holiday, so we are going to be thankful for that holiday, and we'll resume on Monday. But I appreciate everything everyone's doing, and we're looking forward to future successes and all the excitement that we know we have in front of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Stanfield. And Elizabeth, if I can add, I'd just like to, first of all, Dr. Nichols was not able to be with us today. He had a very serious family matter come up. He's okay, he's fine, but he was not able to be with us. So I want to extend his apologies to the students. As Dr. Stanfield said, we came back from spring break with a big surprise. And Dr. Nichols, I don't know if you all know this or not, but while he was in Tennessee serving as a president, he had a tornado hit his campus. And they missed 1 week of classes before they were up and running. That's with almost every building destroyed on campus. So he really is a strong leader, especially in times like this. He was able to focus us, and he was able to really steer us through this turnaround. But none of that would have been possible were it not for the employees of the college and you as students. And so, you know, while we had that extra week after spring break and then a little bit of anxiety afterwards, you all have been absolutely fantastic, and you have persevered. And there's never been a semester like this ever. And I'm hoping there will never be another one again. So during this, we're in this together. So please know that we're here to support you. And there's nothing that you can't ask us, nothing that we're not willing to consider as we work to get everybody through this and across the finish line successfully. Elizabeth, again, I just want to applaud you and thank you for coordinating this, for fielding the questions, and for hosting us today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that. Just so all students and the panelists know that all questions and answers will be posted on the CALM webpage in multiple sections. One is the COVID-19 page that we have on there, and another one is the student life page. So if you've missed any parts or want to rehear anything that they did state, please look on the website. Another option is if you do have more questions, please reach out to anybody. If you are unsure who to reach out, I'm still willing to send them on through. You can send it still to sga@calm.edu, and I'll forward them through to who you need to. Thank you to our panelists for helping us keep the communication going between administration and the students. And thank you to all the students who joined us today. Your feedback is invaluable in helping us better the college. Thank you so much for attending. You guys are free to go.
Thank you, Elizabeth.